Napoleon Hill himself said this was the missing key. He said the reason most people fail at wealth is not because they lack information. It is because the information never reaches the subconscious. And the only way to reach the subconscious is through emotionalized repetition delivered in a state of receptivity. The state of receptivity is the state you are entering right now. So let me tell you exactly what to expect. For the next 55 minutes, I am going to walk you through Napoleon Hill's most important teachings. You will not need to take notes. You will not need to remember anything. You will not need to do any exercises. You will not need to focus. You will only need to listen. And eventually, to fall asleep. That is the whole practice. This is a sleep meditation. It is my voice, a soft feminine voice, guiding you through the 13 wealth principles that Napoleon Hill spent 25 years discovering. His principles are here. His teachings are here. His research is here. But delivered in a form he could not create in his lifetime. A form designed specifically for the moment before you fall asleep, when your subconscious mind is open, and every word you hear is being written into the deepest layer of who you are. If you were hoping for Napoleon Hill's actual voice reading his book aloud, I completely understand. You may want to click away and find that. There are many wonderful audiobook versions of Think and Grow Rich available. But if you stay with me tonight, something different is going to happen. Let me tell you who Napoleon Hill was, so you understand why his words matter. Napoleon Hill was a young journalist in 1908 when the richest man in America, Andrew Carnegie, invited him to a private meeting. Carnegie gave him a mission: interview 500 of the wealthiest men in America, find the common patterns in their thinking, codify the science of getting rich. Hill accepted the mission. He spent the next 25 years of his life interviewing the wealthiest people who ever lived: Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, Alexander Graham Bell, Harvey Firestone, Woodrow Wilson. At the end of 25 years, Hill compiled everything he had learned into one book. That book was called Think and Grow Rich. It was published in 1937. It has sold over 100 million copies. It is arguably the most influential wealth book ever written. Every modern wealth teacher you have heard of studied this book. Every manifestation teacher you have heard of studied this book. The Secret was based on it. Tony Robbins built his career on it. Bob Proctor read it every single day for 60 years. And tonight, while you sleep, the essence of that book enters your subconscious mind. Let your body settle now. Feel the surface holding you. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your jaw loosen. There is nothing to do for the rest of this video except listen. I am going to speak slowly. I am going to leave many long silences. Do not be alarmed by the silences. The silences are where the subconscious does its work. In each pause, the words that came before have space to sink deeper. Some of you will fall asleep in the first 15 minutes. That is perfect. Your subconscious continues receiving the words even after your conscious mind has drifted off. The recording continues playing. The programming continues installing. Some of you will stay awake longer, perhaps the whole way through. That is also perfect. Each version of tonight is exactly as it should be. What matters is this: tomorrow morning when you wake up, something inside you will be different. Not dramatically different, subtly different. A new pattern of thinking will have started forming. A new belief about your relationship with wealth will have begun taking root. Napoleon Hill promised that repeated exposure to these principles, in a state of belief, would transform anyone's financial life. He was correct. But repeated exposure in a state of belief is nearly impossible during the day, when the critical mind rejects every idea that contradicts current circumstances. At night, in the state you are entering right now, the critical mind is asleep, and the subconscious mind is wide open. This is why Hill said his principles work best when delivered before sleep. So tonight, we do exactly what Hill recommended. Rest your body, rest your mind. Let the voice do the work. Let us begin. The first principle, desire. Napoleon Hill's first principle was desire. Not wanting, not wishing, not hoping, desire. A burning, definite, unmistakable desire. Hill discovered something in his 25 years of research that shocked him. Every one of the 500 wealthy people he interviewed had one thing in common. They wanted their wealth intensely. They did not want it casually. They did not want it as a preference. They wanted it as a burning need in the center of their chest. And here is the part that will surprise you. They wanted it before they had any evidence they could achieve it. Henry Ford wanted to build an affordable car for every American before he had money to build even one car. Thomas Edison wanted to create electric light before anyone believed it was possible. Andrew Carnegie wanted to control the steel industry before he owned a single mill. They desired first, and the world responded to their desire. Most people have it backwards. Most people believe they must first see the evidence, then they will allow themselves to desire. They wait for signs, they wait for permission, they wait for someone else to prove it is possible before they let themselves want it. But the universe does not respond to hesitation. The universe responds to burning desire. Tonight, as you rest, something is shifting in you. Somewhere in the center of your chest, there is a desire that has been waiting. A specific desire, not a general wish for more money, but a specific, definite, burning desire for the exact wealth you are meant to receive in this lifetime. You may have hidden this desire from yourself. You may have quieted it. You may have told yourself it was too much, too greedy, too selfish, too unrealistic. Napoleon Hill would have told you the opposite. He would have told you that your desire is your compass. He would have told you that your desire is God speaking through you. He would have told you that the size of your desire is exactly the size of the miracle you were meant to receive. Let your desire come back to the surface tonight. You do not need to name it in words. You only need to feel it. That warm, insistent, quiet pull in the center of your chest. That is your desire. That is your signal. That is the beginning of every fortune Napoleon Hill ever documented. Hill said something else that most people miss. He said desire must be paired with something. Desire alone is not enough. Desire must be paired with a definite plan of action, a definite chief aim, a specific target that you can hold in your mind day after day. But here is what Hill also said, and this is the part that most modern manifestation teachers leave out. You do not need to know the plan first. Hill wrote that the plan reveals itself once the desire is emotionalized. Once the desire becomes real enough in your subconscious, the plan appears. The next step becomes obvious. The right person shows up. The unexpected door opens. The desire comes first. The plan comes second, not the other way around. If you have been trying to figure out the plan first, trying to see the whole road before you take the first step, you have been working against Hill's principle. You have been trying to think your way to wealth. But wealth is not created by thinking. Wealth is created by desiring first, and then acting on the guidance that emerges. Tonight, you release the burden of having to know how. You do not need to know how the money arrives. You do not need to know which opportunity leads to which result. You do not need to know the timeline. You only need to feel the desire, allow it to become emotionalized, and trust that the plan will reveal itself as you sleep. Napoleon Hill spent 25 years watching this pattern repeat itself in 500 different lives. Every one of them desired first. Every one of them received the plan later. You are no different from them. Your desire is enough. Rest with this now. Let the desire in your chest grow slightly warmer, slightly clearer, slightly more insistent. Do not push it. Do not shape it. Just let it be there, alive, present, felt. The first principle is now written into your subconscious. Desire, definite, burning, yours. The second principle, faith. Hill's second principle was faith. Not religious faith, not blind belief. Faith, as Hill defined it, which was very specific. Faith is the mental state of certainty that something you cannot yet see will manifest into your physical reality. Hill said faith is created deliberately, through repetition of ideas that the subconscious mind eventually accepts as true. He called this autosuggestion, and he said it was the bridge between desire and manifestation. Here is what he meant. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is true right now and what is repeated to it consistently over time. If you repeat to your subconscious mind, in a state of feeling, that you are wealthy, the subconscious will begin to accept this as truth. Once the subconscious accepts it as truth, it begins to organize your outer world to match. This is not magical thinking. This is what Hill observed in 500 wealthy people. Every one of them had installed a version of themselves as wealthy in their own subconscious mind, long before the wealth appeared in their physical circumstances. Faith, in Hill's definition, was the felt certainty of a future that had not yet arrived. Most people do not have this kind of faith. They have hope. Hope is weaker than faith. Hope says maybe. Faith says definitely. Hope waits for evidence. Faith creates the evidence. Tonight, as you rest, faith is being installed in you. Not through argument, not through logic, through repetition and receptivity. Every time I speak these words, every time you hear them in the softness of pre-sleep awareness, your subconscious mind is accepting them slightly more deeply as truth. You are wealthy in the field. You are wealthy in the field. You are wealthy in the field. Notice something. When you hear those words, a small part of you may still object. A small part may say, "But I am not, but the account does not show it, but I do not feel it yet." That is the critical mind, and Hill said the critical mind is the great obstacle to faith. The critical mind demands proof before belief, but the universe operates in the opposite order. The universe demands belief before proof. Tonight, as you drift closer to sleep, the critical mind is losing its grip. It cannot argue as strongly when you are half asleep. It cannot dismiss ideas that reach you in the soft state of pre-slumber. This is why Hill said the moments before sleep were the most important moments of the entire day. Because in those moments, faith could be installed, without the critical mind blocking it. You are wealthy in the field. You are prosperous by nature. You are the person to whom abundance flows. Notice that even as I say these words, some part of you feels them slightly, feels them like they might be true, feels them the way you might feel a warm blanket, comforting, believable, acceptable. That is faith beginning to form. Do not force it. Do not try harder. Simply let the words repeat softly in the background of your awareness. Your subconscious is doing the accepting. You do not need to help. Napoleon Hill wrote something in his book that I want to share with you now. He wrote, quote, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence." What he meant was this: every thought you hold is a vibration. When that thought is charged with faith, it becomes a much stronger vibration. That stronger vibration reaches something Hill called infinite intelligence, and infinite intelligence responds. This is what modern teachers call the quantum field. This is what mystics call the divine. This is what Neville Goddard called God. Hill was simply describing the same phenomenon in the language of his time. Tonight, your thoughts of wealth are being charged with faith, not because you are trying to charge them, because you are in the receptive state where the charging happens automatically. Faith is being installed. You are wealthy in the field. You are the person to whom abundance flows. The second principle is now written into your subconscious. The third principle, autosuggestion. Now we come to Napoleon Hill's most important principle. Autosuggestion. Hill said autosuggestion was the technique through which desire was transmuted into its financial equivalent. He said this principle was the reason his 500 wealthy people succeeded, and the reason most people fail. Autosuggestion is simply repeated impression on the subconscious mind, repeated words, repeated feelings, repeated mental images, delivered consistently in a state of belief. Hill wrote that the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between actual events and events vividly imagined with feeling. This is the entire foundation of manifestation, and it was documented by Hill 90 years ago, long before modern neuroscience confirmed exactly the same thing. Modern brain scans show that when you vividly imagine an experience with strong emotion, the same neural pathways fire that would fire if you were living that experience in physical reality. The brain does not distinguish. The subconscious does not distinguish. If you consistently imagine yourself wealthy, with feeling, your subconscious mind concludes that you are wealthy. Once the subconscious concludes you are wealthy, it begins the automatic process of arranging your circumstances to match its conclusion. This is autosuggestion. And tonight, autosuggestion is doing its work in you. Every word you hear from me in this softened state is a form of autosuggestion. You are not fighting it. You are not analyzing it. You are simply receiving it, and your subconscious is accepting it as valid input. Let me now give you the specific autosuggestions Napoleon Hill recommended. I am the person my desires are calling forward. I am the person my desires are calling forward. Feel these words rest in your chest. Not analyzed, just felt. Wealth flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. Wealth flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. Notice that as you hear these words, a small warmth may be growing. That is not imagination. That is the biochemistry of belief beginning to shift. I have earned the right to receive. I have earned the right to receive. Feel this one deeply. So many of us carry a hidden belief that we have not earned enough, that we do not deserve the wealth we desire, that we must work harder before we allow ourselves to receive. Napoleon Hill would have told you this is one of the most common blocks to wealth, and it is a lie the critical mind tells to keep you playing small. Tonight, that lie loses its hold. I have earned the right to receive. Now, Hill was very specific about how autosuggestion must be practiced. He said the words alone were not enough. The words had to be paired with feeling, emotion. Specifically, he said the feeling of already being the person you were affirming. Do not affirm as a person who wants wealth. Affirm as a person who is wealthy. Feel from that position. Speak from that position. Tonight, in your soft pre-sleep state, this feeling comes naturally. You are already partially released from the identity of struggle. You are already partially released from the sensation of lack. In this softness, the feeling of already being wealthy is more accessible than it ever is during the day. Let yourself feel it. Not imagine it, feel it. The feeling in your chest right now, the warmth, the settling, the softness. This is what wealth feels like on the inside. Wealth is not a bank balance. Wealth is a felt state of enoughness, of receiving, of being provided for. Tonight you feel that state, and the more you feel it, the more your subconscious accepts it as your natural condition. And the more your subconscious accepts it as your natural condition, the more your outer world adjusts to reflect it. This is autosuggestion. This is what made 500 millionaires. And tonight, it is making you. The third principle is now written into your subconscious. The fourth principle, specialized knowledge and imagination. Napoleon Hill's next principles were specialized knowledge and imagination. He grouped these together in his teaching because he said they were inseparable. Specialized knowledge without imagination is useless. Imagination without specialized knowledge is fantasy. But when they are combined, they become the creative force that made every fortune Hill ever documented. Here is what Hill discovered that most people miss. He said that specialized knowledge is not necessarily knowledge you personally possess. It is knowledge you have access to. It is the knowledge held by the right person at the right time, willing to work with you. Henry Ford, Hill wrote, was not a formally educated man. His critics tried to embarrass him once by suggesting he did not know basic history. Ford calmly responded that he had rows of expert electric buttons on his desk. Push the right button, and the right expert appeared to answer any question. Ford's specialized knowledge was not in his head, it was in his network. And Hill said this was true of every wealthy person he interviewed. You do not need to know everything to become wealthy. You need to know how to access the right knowledge at the right moment, and that access is guided by imagination. Imagination, Hill wrote, is the workshop of the mind. It is where every plan is forged before it becomes reality. It is where every solution is discovered before it appears. He said there are two types of imagination. The first is synthetic imagination. This is when you combine existing concepts in new ways. Every invention is a combination of pre-existing elements. The car combined the wheel, the engine, the chassis. All existed before Ford. He synthesized them. The second is creative imagination. This is when new ideas seem to arrive from beyond you, from infinite intelligence, from the field, from what Hill called the universal storehouse of all knowledge. Both types of imagination are accessible to you. But especially in this state, this pre-sleep state you are entering right now, creative imagination is fully open. Hill wrote that many of his 500 subjects reported receiving their most important insights during states similar to sleep. Napoleon Bonaparte was said to nap frequently before major decisions. Thomas Edison famously took brief naps at his desk. He would hold ball bearings in his hands. When he entered deep sleep, the bearings would drop, waking him with the insight he had just received in the sleep state. This is not folklore. This is documented history. The sleep state is where creative imagination flows most freely. The subconscious mind, freed from the critical mind, connects with the field of all knowledge and downloads what is needed. Tonight, as you sleep, this download is happening in you. You do not have to try to make it happen. You do not have to focus. You do not have to strain. The download happens automatically once the receiving conditions are met. The receiving conditions are these: softness, belief, openness, trust. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, notice what has arrived. Notice the ideas that appear seemingly from nowhere. Notice the impulses to reach out to someone specific. Notice the sudden clarity about a next step you have been avoiding. These are not random. These are the products of imagination that occurred while you slept. Trust them. Act on them without needing to justify them to your daytime mind. Hill said this was the difference between the wealthy and the poor. The wealthy acted on inspiration. The poor waited for logical proof before acting. By the time proof arrived, the moment had passed. You are now entering the state where imagination flows, where knowledge downloads, where creative solutions appear. Rest here. Let the workshop of your mind do its work. You already have access to everything you need. It has been arranging itself around you your entire life, waiting for you to receive it. Tonight, you receive it. The fourth principle is now written into your subconscious. The fifth principle, decision and persistence. Napoleon Hill discovered something in his 25 years of research that shocked him deeply. He discovered that indecision was the single most common cause of failure. Not lack of intelligence, not lack of resources, not lack of opportunity. Indecision. The 500 wealthy people he interviewed had this in common. They decided quickly, and they changed their decisions slowly. The unsuccessful people, Hill found, had the exact opposite pattern. They decided slowly, and they changed their decisions quickly. They allowed every setback, every opinion, every fear to make them reverse course. Wealth cannot flow to a person who keeps changing direction. Hill wrote that a definite decision, held firmly against all pressure to reverse it, was more powerful than any external advantage. Tonight, you become a person who decides. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the evidence justifies it, now. You decide that you are entering the wealthy version of yourself. You decide that you are done with the struggle identity. You decide that the person you fall asleep as tonight is not the same person you wake up as tomorrow. The decision is being made in your subconscious right now. You do not have to say it in words. You do not have to sign anything. You do not have to prove it to anyone. The decision is being written at the level of your being. And once the decision is made at that level, nothing external can reverse it. This brings us to persistence. Hill said persistence was the sustained application of desire, faith, autosuggestion, and definite decision over time. Persistence was the one factor that separated the millionaires from those who almost became millionaires. Because the truth is this: every wealthy person Hill interviewed had faced defeat. Some faced repeated defeat. Some faced bankruptcy. Some faced humiliation. But none of them stopped. And that is why they became wealthy. Hill wrote that most people quit within 3 feet of gold. They gave up just before the discovery. They reversed course just before the reversal would have paid off. Tonight, that pattern ends in you. Tonight, you become a person who does not stop. Not because you force yourself to persist, because at the level of your subconscious, persistence becomes your default state. Notice something happening in your body right now. There may be a small firmness rising in your chest, a quiet steadiness, something inside that says, I am not going back to who I was. That is the decision installing. That is persistence taking root. Hill said persistence was based on habit, and habit was created by repetition of thought and action. Every night that you listen to a meditation like this one, you are building the habit of wealth consciousness. Every night the pattern deepens. Every night the neural pathways strengthen. Every night the subconscious accepts the new identity more fully. You do not become wealthy in one night, but one night is where it begins. The person who becomes wealthy is the person who listens to the meditation tonight, and listens again tomorrow night, and listens again the night after that. Not because they must, because they want to, because it becomes the most comforting part of their day. Napoleon Hill wrote something that I want you to hear now. He wrote, quote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Say those words silently to yourself as you drift. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. The fifth principle is now written into your subconscious. Chapter 7. The Final Seal and Sleep Bridge. We have now walked through the essential wealth principles Napoleon Hill spent 25 years documenting. Desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, decision, persistence. Each principle has been written into your subconscious tonight, not as information for you to remember, as programming for your subconscious to install. While you sleep, the installation continues. Your brain enters delta wave sleep, the deepest and most neuroplastic state of your entire day. During delta sleep, the neural pathways associated with tonight's programming are strengthened. The pathways associated with the old wealth-blocking identity are weakened. You will wake up tomorrow with a subtly different brain. The change will not be dramatic. Do not look for fireworks. Look for softness. Look for clarity. Look for the small internal knowing that something has shifted. Napoleon Hill wrote that his principles work best when applied consistently. He said a single reading of Think and Grow Rich was not enough to change a life. He said the book had to be read, and reread, and reread, until the subconscious had fully absorbed its teachings. The same is true of this meditation. Tonight is the first night. The programming has begun, but the full transformation requires repetition. I invite you to return to this meditation every night for the next 30 nights, or 60, or 90. The more nights you listen, the more deeply the principles anchor. Bob Proctor, one of the most successful wealth teachers of the modern era, read Think and Grow Rich every day for over 60 years. Every day, without exception. He credited that daily repetition with his entire fortune. You do not need to read the book every day, but you can listen to this meditation every night. The effect is similar, perhaps stronger, because the meditation reaches the subconscious in a way the book cannot. 3 times now, the final seal. I am the wealthy version of me. My subconscious is programmed. I sleep and it grows. I am the wealthy version of me. My subconscious is programmed. I sleep and it grows. I am the wealthy version of me. My subconscious is programmed. I sleep and it grows. Let go now. Let the body sink completely. Let the breath slow to its natural rhythm. Sleep will take you when it is ready. There is nothing more for you to do. The programming continues automatically. Your work is complete. In the morning, do not immediately reach for your phone. Give yourself a moment. Notice how you feel. Notice the quality of the awakening. Something will be different, though it may take days to become obvious. Throughout the day, notice the impulses that arise, the ideas, the synchronicities, the small nudges to reach out to specific people. These are the products of what happened in your sleep tonight. Trust them. Act on them. Do not overthink. Napoleon Hill would tell you the same thing. The wealthy person acts on inspiration. The struggling person waits for proof. Tomorrow, you are the wealthy person. If this meditation reached you tonight, write in the comments the words, "I am wealthy in the field." Every comment is read. Every declaration matters. Your voice becomes part of the community of dreamers who are rewriting their financial destiny. For the Mindset Reset quiz that will show you what specific patterns may still be blocking your wealth, the link is in the description. Take it tomorrow morning before the noise of the day enters. Subscribe if you have not already. Napoleon Hill was one voice. There are more coming. Wallace Wattles, James Allen, Charles Haanel. The masters of wealth wisdom will meet you here night after night. Sleep now. Sleep as the wealthy version of you. Sleep as the person Napoleon Hill spent 25 years describing. You are wealthy in the field. The programming is complete. It is done. For the Mindset Reset quiz that will show you what specific patterns may still be blocking your wealth, the link is in the description. Take it tomorrow morning before the noise of the day enters. Subscribe if you have not already. Napoleon Hill was one voice. There are more coming. Wallace Wattles, James Allen, Charles Haanel. The masters of wealth wisdom will meet you here night after night. Sleep now. Sleep as the wealthy version of you. Sleep as the person Napoleon Hill spent 25 years describing. You are wealthy in the field. The programming is complete. It is done.